Hey folks, welcome to the last T2sday update of 2024, where we're exploring a new computer architecture that's indefinitely scalable. And in the most recent period, we're building a simulation of a simulated robot, a little car, and a simulated brain using this crazy new architecture. Let's start. We got a ton of stuff. Let's start with checking in with our robot friend Beevee. Seneca came into the lab soon after Beevee had dropped onto the grid.
I don't want you. Yeah, I'll check you out from all sides. No, actually, I think I'd rather go for this. Oh, yes, you are out of here, buddy.
Hey, Beevee, called Seneca. We need to talk. With you in a minute, yelled Beevee. Just let me run off these last yellow balls here. Well, that's what I need to talk to you about, said Seneca. Wait till I'm done, said Beevee. Seneca sighed and sat down. It was going to be a long wait. So that's Beevee. Did you see Beevee left a couple of yellow balls up in the upper left corner there? It seems like that's the most common thing, but it's hard to know. I mean, that was almost 2 weeks of runtime on the MFMS simulator. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit. The goals for this time: Beevee localizes itself. Beevee figures out where it is on the grid. Failed at that. Anybody who'd actually tried this stuff in robotics and so forth could have told me, from the start that it's not as easy as I imagined it would be, but of course I have to learn it myself. Onward talk delivered. Success, bigger fun is big. This was a weird month, and I want to talk about several things, so let's go. All right, I'm grouping it in community development and Beevee's Project 2025. Community. Lou Wilson, Toad Pond, and I wrote a paper over the last year or so. This was when we were having a Zoom call, between 7 hours of time zones or something like that. And a couple of weeks ago, Lou gave the talk in Pasadena that goes with the paper. This is a still from the talk showing us, it's getting pretty recursive here, but that's kind of Lou's thing, or one of Lou's things. So that was great, and I think the video of the talk will be up soon, or it is already up, I'm not sure. YouTube commenter changes the world. So, who's been a long-time supporter, I'd love some longer videos where you discuss ideas forming in your head, rambling discussion and all that. Do you feel rushed when you film these? Well, yes. On the one hand, it's about the YouTube wisdom that you're supposed to keep it short, and the smarter wisdom where people say, no, you should take as much time as you have content. If the content is short, because videos do, then they should be short. But I want to trying to keep it reasonably short, and I took 15 minutes to make it be a constraint for myself to try to prioritize what I want to mention, what I want to talk about, and so forth. Nonetheless, because of this, maybe in part, I just started the camera one night when I was debugging stuff and talked for 25 minutes or something like that, and then put it up. So it's there, and so here it is, Dendritic tree demo in MFMS, the simulator of the indefinitely scalable hardware, over on the T2 demos channel, not the T2 tile project here. And people can see what they like. This was extremely buggy stuff. I've got an improved version. I'm going to try to do a demo in 15 minutes. We'll see if that's going to happen. Yes, I love to see how the sausage is made. Well, that's what it was like. Zedling 67 showed up as well, and I just want to say again, thank you. Getting some kind of feedback, any kind of feedback, especially things like I would like, questions, or wouldn't it be good if, or could I have, just to help me know that anybody is out there and gets whatever they get. And thank you. All right, and then this thing happened. So October 8th, I get up, I toddle over to the computer, and I look at my email, New York Times interview request, Nobel Prize. And obviously that had to be a scam, but no, it wasn't. Jeffrey Hinton, who co-won the Nobel Prize in Physics for 2024, was my dissertation advisor when I was in graduate school. And so the Times had already written up an article on him, so I didn't actually end up talking to the reporter or anything. But still, just the fact that it was legit was like, whoa. And does Field, great. And, so Jeffrey Hinton, as I said, my advisor, did a piece of work called the Boltzmann machine, which is what the Nobel Prize in Physics was citing him for. And in the citation, they linked to the paper about the Boltzmann machine. And here it is, there's right there. I didn't have any of the big physics ideas. I just did the implementation and the data gathering, and I wrote a bunch of the paper. But the ideas were mostly Jeff's and Terry's. But it was a little cool, and a bunch of people were checking in from Pittsburgh back in grad school days, and it was nice to hear from them and so forth. So that happened. Okay, development. In any given month, talking about prioritizing stuff, there's all kinds of little bits of stuff, little fiddly stuff that doesn't feel like research to me, so I generally don't mention it. But it actually is important as far as making progress, and you got to work on the underlying stuff. You got to work on the infrastructure as well as working on the bleeding edge. So this month in October, I finally got this whole workstation converted from Ubuntu 20.04 to Ubuntu 24.04, and it was scary, and I still have a few little problems, but Ubuntu 24.04, unlike 20.04, it just immediately offered me, there's a firmware update for your BIOS. Would you like to install it? And I just said, clicky, okay. And the horrible thing, if you've been around for a while, hearing the fans go like a jet taking off, it's fixed. The fans still come on, but they're a lot quieter and so forth. As an example. Double the space in the same place. The diamond replicator. It was a diamond because the distance measure in the movable feast machine is Manhattan blocks. So if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, but if you start making turns 1, 2, 3, 4, you don't go as far. So that's how you end up with the diamond. But if you're going to put bits inside to make coordinates, so you could say go to 2 minus 3 or whatever it is, for a local coordinate system like Beevee's brain is using, it would be nice if you could fill that all out. So I actually took the time to rewrite this stuff to rewrite all the code. So instead of being diamonds, it actually makes rectangles, which is twice as much space in the same number of bits. So we've got that. And then finally, we've got dendritic trees. And I'm going to spend the rest of the time, which is not very much, talking about that a little bit. So, in Beevee's brain, I use these crossbar switches. Here's a picture of one along one row. There's the input sensors along on the other one. There's motor outputs, and signals move down and across, and that's good for dense connections. But if you want to connect between crossbar switches, I made these axons, these point-to-point things that just carry individual signals along. Then there was a problem with that. So we had here, this is actually Beevee's brain relatively currently. So we've got a crossbar, another crossbar, another crossbar, a little teeny crossbar down here that are connected together by these axons. And these two motor sensors right there is Beevee's left and right motors that drive them from the back. And there's a bunch of things that want to talk to that in different circumstances, like to spin it around when it's orienting, or to turn toward red or whatever it is. And I've got more stuff that wants to talk to the motors, but they're getting crowded. So I re-implemented everything to change the axons from being point-to-point stuff into being tree structures. And I'm going to try to show a little demo. So this is just a debug stuff. This is like what I was showing in the T2 demos thing. So let me just start this up. So there is the flood going out, and it found where it was trying to get to from a sensor to a motor. But I can make more, and now another flood goes out, and it connects to the existing one. If I put one up here, maybe it'll actually make a new connection straight to the motor, because it's, there's nothing blocking it. Let's see what happens there. And I really like when you see yeah. Oh, no. Okay. You could have done it a straight shot, but instead it connected here, which connected here, which connected here. So the current stuff does not try to figure out the shortest path, including the length of the existing axons, which, maybe it should, but that's a little bit hard to do. But nonetheless, it basically works, and that makes me happy, especially given if you go over and take a look at what was happening on the T2 demos video, it wasn't working. So in particular, these things should start hooking up pretty soon. Yeah, and then it's kind of like a condensation process. But now the key part, the growing is one thing, but if we damage the tree after it's been growing, let's do a small one here. Suppose we get rid of this guy here. So number one, it dies back correctly, and then they regrow. So it may end up going to a different place, going by a different route, which is all fine. And again, that didn't really work either. So in fact, Beevee's brain is now using these dendritic trees, and it will often hook up via an existing axon when it's trying to get to the Beevee's motors. Progress. Whoops. That was painful. All right. This is the last update. We're going to take November off to work on writing, and then December to try to work on something to show us in January. It's getting hard to do this development, so I'm going to put that aside and say I don't want to give up on Beevee yet. I still want to get some kind of world model where there's a representation inside Beevee's head that corresponds somehow to a representation out in the world. It may not be as sophisticated as localizing, but we'll see. And keep going step by step. So that's it. The goal is for January 7th, number one, have a world model for Beevee, have the Next Living Computation Foundation book over the hump, maybe not really done yet, and to welcome President Harris, who should be getting inaugurated, hopefully, the day before. So that is it. I tried putting the title card at the end here. Let's see, I can never do this right. Okay, there it is. That's me. So we'll see. Anyway, thanks so much for stopping by. Hope to see you next time.